All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Mortgage Coach 10X Tuesday interview. We're doing a little different format today because we got Dan Keller. Last year, Dan, how many of the top 10 videos of the year in our YouTube channel were you in? I think you were in like 3 or 4 of them. Wasn't it like 3 or 4?
I think I saw something on LinkedIn. I think you texted me, and I knew one of them that we did was going to be good. But I don't know, a couple of them, man. And I just love coming out here and sharing some of the things that we're doing in our business, and hopefully it blesses this community as much as this community has blessed me.
Yeah, so by the way, guys, I try to be as intentional as possible on LinkedIn, bringing value. You know, right now, every Monday morning, I'm doing a message to branch managers. But here were the top 12 interviews of last year in our YouTube channel, and let's just see how many were Dan Keller. So he did not get the #1 spot. We gave that to Phil Jones. But look who came in second. We got a little Dan Keller action. Unlock the power of cold calling. Oh, #3, that's #3. There's Dan Keller again, the Realtor Playbook. Great headline. I know there's another Dan Keller. You were part of Scriptapalooza, so you made that. And there we go. So it looks like four of the top 10 interviews of last year in the YouTube channel. And let's make this one of the top 10, top 12. So I think everybody in this community knows you, Dan. This is the second time Chad has been in this community. But why don't you do a little introduction for Chad, just because not everybody knows him yet, and then we'll tee up the topic at hand.
Yeah, so this is round 2 with my most recent coach or trainer. I try to. Chad Cooley to me is like, and you guys see behind me, I'm a big baseball guy. I came from college and semi-pro coaching baseball before I got into mortgage 16 years ago. I look at Chad Cooley as a professional baseball player, as a strength and conditioning coach, or maybe as a nutritionist, or someone that can go in and take a really great athlete who's already at the major league level, but make him an all-star. And I found Cooley about 1.5 years ago intentionally. Like I literally, you can go back to my Instagram, I put it out to the universe that I was on a hunt to learn how to be better at sales. Dave, it's something that's just not taught in our industry. I think we're all salespeople, but they don't acknowledge that mortgage and real estate is sales, 100% sales and prospecting. I was just on a call with you and Carl White, and Carl's like,
"Oh, you heard that?
You better to do right now than to you should be prospecting, like prospect." But they don't teach us how to prospect. They say go prospect, or a branch manager says, "Hey, go do this." But it's not. I mean, Cooley was on a call the other day, and he was like, "Dan, no offense to the mortgage coach community, but is that what they're teaching loan officers?" And I was like, "Dude, this is what they're teaching us. There's really no education around prospecting, selling, and closing." And so I met Cooley, and I met him through a real estate community because he's the head sales coach for a huge real estate company. I'll let him talk about that here in a minute, nationwide. And I was a guest one morning where he was teaching people, his agents, veterans, rookies, it didn't matter, how to call for sell by owners and for expired listings. And I was just like, holy crud, like this is sales training. This is ninja. This is next level. And then the testimonials started rolling in. A couple of agents in my marketplace that are in his breakfast club calling expires and for sell by owners and making her first $100,000 in 1 month. Amanda Weller, right? Cooley. And yeah, she's 1.5 years, full-time single mom, stay-at-home mom, 1.5 years in the industry, just banging listing appointment. And so I was hooked. I went in, I was able to get a call with Chad, and I said, "Hey, are you interested in coaching a mortgage broker?" And he was like, "Not really." He was like, what do you need?" He goes, "I can help you." And we just kind of started talking, and I think we found a gap in the mortgage space that we chase realtors, we call realtors, we deal with borrowers that have rate objections and, "Hey, thanks, Dan, but I've already been pre-approved with a bank or a credit union." And how do you respond? We react. How do you respond to that? And what do you say? And then how do you close them for an appointment for business? And so Chad's made a huge impact, taking me as a pretty good loan officer. I'll just share this real quick testimony. In the last 3 months, I've landed 2 accounts huge accounts. One involved recruiting a loan officer, and the other was an in-house lending job for my branch. And I don't think that I was equipped with the right info because I'd been chasing them for about a year. And with what I've learned from Chad, really helped me really seal that deal, nail down that deal. So I can't wait to continue to share Cooley with you guys. This is round 2 with Cooley. So I don't have a coaching program. I'm not here to pitch any coaching program. Cooley and I have actually set up a training program. We'll talk about that at the very end, but we did round 1. We did a 90-day burn. We did it October to January. The results with the loan officers that joined that, we're going to have one come on today, Cody Villanueva, to share just kind of what he learned and how many appointments. The goal was to meet. We had a 30 agent tracker at the end of the 90 days. Because of what you learned and the accountability, you would have sat down and met with 30 new real estate agents. That was the goal. That was the program. And then Cooley kind of coached us on how to do it, what to say. I coached on the first realtor meeting, the follow-up, all that good stuff. So this is round 2 with Cooley. And then I'm going to take some of this stuff and be on the stage at the Modern Mortgage Summit. Gosh, what is that, in 2 weeks, Dave?
Yeah, no, it's coming up, guys. Just a reminder, the Modern Mortgage Summit, first half of the day is a bunch of badass loan officers delivering a 15-minute keynote from stage. And then the second half of the day is a bunch of badass modern real estate professionals delivering something amazing. And it's super simple. I mean, it's $100 to sign up, get the virtual ticket. These are some of the mortgage professionals that are going to be on the stage. We'll put a link down below. Second half of the day, we've got a few more realtors to add to this list. There's still room. I think there's still 20 seats available. It's in Bradley's studio. So it caps at 60 people. There's like 60, large recliner leatherback chairs all surrounding this badass suite. So if you want to be there in person, it's $1,000 and we have 20 seats-ish left. So check that out. So here's what comes to my head, and Cooley, if you don't mind, one, I'm going to start calling you Cooley because you're Coach
All
Cooley
right.
to me. You can call me Savage,
All right. That's a better name, Savage. I wish I had that name.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I have that name. I've grown into it. And then I'm also going to start calling you a sales conditioning coach because when I think of that first interview that we did together, that's what you're doing. I mean, you're teaching skills, but more importantly than that, you're helping people practice their skills.
Yeah.
You're doing role playing at scale, which is something, to your point, Dan, is badly missing from the industry. It's not gone though. Like when I interviewed Daniel Saw and see what he's done with his region, where last year they became the #1 market leader in Columbus, Ohio. Like they're training, they are training. So there is that, but here's the deal, guys. Even the top 1% aren't training enough. And so to your point, Dan, 99% of the mortgage and real estate industry isn't even doing the training. They're not doing the role playing and they're not doing what we did before. So Coach Cooley, welcome to the community. This is the second time. Hopefully I'm going to interview you solo next time, if you're cool with that. Nothing against Dan Keller, but I would love to just interview you for this community and really get inside your head and really pull out some best practices. So Dan, are you cool if I do a solo interview of Coach Cooley?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know him. He's just I wanted to introduce him to this amazing community, and I just think that there's an opportunity, and he's so gifted and he's so humble and he's a giver, and so yeah, I knew it'd be a perfect fit.
All right, guys. So since we got this coach theme going, this is a football game, and there's 4 quarters in the game, and we're almost done with Q1. And I don't know that you did get a takeaway. You got a takeaway that conditioning matters, role playing matters, and there's a gap in the space. So we got 3 more quarters to play. Dan, I know you had a vision for this because I invited you to the party, and it could have just been me and you, but you're like, Dave, trust me, I've got something I want to bring to the mortgage space. It's not just me, and I trusted you. So I'm I'm going to stay on the call, but I'm going to
Yeah.
let you run the next 3 quarters. You're the quarterback now. And let's close out this game the way you envisioned.
Yeah, let's frame this real quick and then we'll bring Chad on. So think of it this way, loan officers. There's 2 things that I want you to consider as Chad gets ready to speak. The first thing, I said this from stage last year at the Modern Mortgage Summit. Take a moment and think of your favorite actor or actress. The movie that they starred in, the role that they played, maybe many roles. And what made them unique wasn't the fact that they learned their lines really good. They became the character. Like they went above and beyond just learning the lines. Like we can get told a line to learn, a script to learn. But what Cooley is teaching us is how to become that actor or that actress on the phone in front of a client. That's the first thing. The second thing is I've been coached for, by the way, the coach that you just had on before us, Carl White, my first coach back in 2008. Love the guy, got me going into video. But
He
I've
was
been
your first coach? Wait a minute. Carl White was your first coach? I did not know.
Carl White and Scotty Hudspeth. Yeah, the marketing animals way back in the day. Oh yeah.
Yeah. By the way, did you listen to that interview we just did?
I was listening to it in the truck on the way in. Yep. I love that guy. Yeah.
He's awesome, man.
He's such a giver. Yeah. And if you think of it this way, I've had coaches from 2008 to current. And most recently, my last coach over the last 7 years, he just says it's a numbers game. Just pound the phone, more numbers, call 200 realtors. And since I've met Cooley, no disrespect to my coach, but he's wrong. It's not a numbers game. It's a skills game. Chad completely changed my perspective on selling, on making calls, prospecting. And that's really how I wanted to tee up Chad Cooley today. That he's a skills trainer. He's a performance coach. I love what you just said, Dave, a sales conditioning coach, because that's exactly what he does. So with no further ado.
Whoa. I got to insert something because it is a numbers game and a skills game. Yeah. And the most successful people always work on their skills and they do track their numbers. So just want to put that little caveat in. With no further ado, Coach Cooley.
Yeah, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to live up to that hype, to be honest with you, but I absolutely love it. Yeah, you know, I respect the spirit of it's a numbers game, right? Because when you don't have the skill set, you have to play the numbers. You've got to be a real estate casino or a mortgage casino, and you have to play the numbers. But there are certain things that are going to make your life a lot easier. And when you think about the one thing that we're all trying to buy with our money is our time, right? How great would it be instead of making 50 calls, you could get the same result making 10? You know what I mean? And so I know that everybody hates cold calls, and I really hate that term because cold calls to me are something that are necessary, but don't need to be made if you have the right value proposition and you make your calls warm. There's a way to do it, and it starts kind of with your value proposition. And, you know, I was talking to Dan about this before we met, and hold on one second, guys. Sorry about that. The heck? Sorry. Give me 1 second, guys. Trying to technology problem.
Well, while he's doing that, the other thing I want to make a point on the numbers is at the end of the day, the way you judge yourself are your results. And if you're tracking how many calls you made, how many total cost analysis you delivered, how many apps you got, you can see as you improve your skills, like the most skilled producers have the highest conversion, and not just borrower conversion, realtor conversion. So anyways, it looks like you got it figured out, Chad.
Yeah. I had to turn off my messenger. I'm getting 1,000 phone calls and I forgot to turn it off before I jumped on here. Sorry about that. There's a way to make your sales calls warm. And when I first talked to Dan, like I thought a lot of this was common knowledge. You know what I mean? That we've got to have a strong value proposition in order to make our sales calls warm. And then like I had Dan Keller give me kind of his pitch on what he does to set appointments with real estate agents. And it kind of blew me away because I come at it from the perspective of like, if I'm a producing agent, do I have time to actually listen to what Dan's saying? Dan, do you mind kind of just going over what that phone call sounded like?
Yeah, this is what I've said for the last 6 years. I've even come in the mortgage coach community, and I've heard a lot of other mortgage coaches get interviewed in here, and their script is, you know, the realtor picks up and you're like, hey, Chad, this is Dan Keller over at New American Funding. Hey man, you're a big player in town. I'm a big player in town. I can't believe I've been in the industry for 5 years and we've never met. I've seen your signs everywhere, blah, 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 something along those lines. And you were just like, hey, that's fine because it's going to lead to an objection. But tell them what you told me. It was like,
I said, I don't need your cup of coffee. Like, why are you calling me with it? I don't care if you're a big player. Like, I'm busy. I'm doing stuff. What do you have to sell me other than coffee? Like, with all due respect, and I respect the hustle, anybody who's out there making the phone calls and doing the job. But at the end of the day, it's like, you guys all have vendors calling you too. And can you imagine if an insurance guy called you today and asked you, hey, Dan, I'm a big insurance guy. You're a big mortgage guy. Can we get together for a cup of coffee? Pardon me, but I can buy my own cup of coffee. Like, I don't need you to buy me a cup of coffee. I can do that on my own. What else you got? You know what I mean? And Dan's got tremendous value, but what I found is he just wasn't articulating it right. He wasn't getting to the point. You know what I mean? And so although he had strong value, it was kind of muddy because he wasn't talking to me about that. He was talking to me about something that he wanted, which is some of my time and a cup of coffee with me, if that makes sense. And so, Dan, like, how did you react when I kind of pushed back like that? Were you accepting of that? Were you like, how did you feel about that?
Well, the first thing was I came to you for help as a coach. Like, I was humble. I was on my knees saying, help me. Like, listen, I've been doing this for 15 years. I know there's a better way. I need an advantage in my market and in my industry. And my first reaction was, okay, I get it. That's selfish. It's I'm a big player in town. I want to meet with you. And you flipped that. You were like, nobody cares. You're making it all about you. Make it about them. What do realtors want? Well, realtors like referrals. Realtors want more business. Realtors want to work less, make more. They want to save time. And so you didn't have the answer necessarily right away. It was a combination of you and I meeting together. You run a huge 700 plus real estate agent group. So you're constantly recruiting. So you call realtors, so you get it. And so what we kind of did is you blended it in going, hey, let's try this. But this is what I loved about Chad. Chad's like, Dan, give me 3 days. I'll get back to you. And tell them what you did.
I made phone calls. I made phone calls to realtors as a loan officer. Yeah.
He called, like, made up a name, a mortgage company, ABC Mortgage Company. But how many did you call? 20?
20.
And set 13 appointments or?
No. I made 20 phone calls. I had 17 contacts and set 16 appointments, something like that. It was dramatically lopsided to the point where the majority of people that I talked to, I got an appointment with, which is kind of like not heard of, but the advantage that I have is that I work with real estate agents every day. I know what captures their attention. I know what they're looking for. So for me on the inside, it was a lot easier to come up with a script that goes, okay, like, I want to listen to Dan. I want to hear what Dan has to say. And so, and it was all about, like, what is my value? How can I make that value up front in the phone call known, to the point where they want to hear what I'm saying next, to the point where the only option that they have to ask me is not no, but it's just like, how? You know what I mean? If you can get people saying, how can you do that? How can you help me like that? Well, then how is it yes, and you've won, if that makes sense.
That's what I'm searching for. I tell people this, I search for well, how do you do that? What do you mean? And when I can get that, that's a yes. Yeah. Because that means they're genuinely curious. And when they're curious, and that's exactly why I'm calling today. So let's do this. And so Chad's walked us through, there's different phases. Chad's called it the pathway to yes. I absolutely love that. And I've watched, we had about 25 loan officers in our group during the 90-day burn. And we have actually Cody as a guest to come on today as an example, just to kind of share maybe a testimony, maybe role play with Cooley here in a second. Completely raw, not calling realtors before, comes into the group, learns this process and this pathway, perfects it in less than a 90-day period, and got extreme results. And that's what I got from it too, is just understanding that a no, or well, I don't understand what are you trying to sell leads? Nope, I happen to be one of the top loan officers. And oh, you're a loan officer. No, I'm already good. Most loan officers would rebut to that. They'd reply to that. They'd react to that as an objection. And Cooley's taught us exactly what to say in those circumstances. that objection is what we want. That, well, I don't know what you mean, or show me how, is exactly what we want.
And so like everybody can do this as long as your value proposition is strong enough. And so for all the loan officers out there, I would ask, you know, what are you doing right now to provide value to your agents? What is that? Write that down. And then I want you to ask yourself, if somebody called you, like an insurance guy or a title company, and called you with that value proposition, would that make you stop doing the deals that you are working on right now? Would that make you kind of halt progress on your day to listen to that person? Or would you brush them off or say something like, call me back, right? And we can't look at call me back as a win, right? Or if somebody's responding to your value as like, good to know. Oh, Dan, that's great. That's good to know. You've got that. Good to know. I'll keep you in mind, right? That's a complete rejection of your value. And so we've got to learn to have a better value proposition. Dan, you've got a value proposition that you've got that is really strong. What's that value proposition? And why, I guess, why were you leading with a cup of coffee instead of the end result of the value that you're providing?
Yeah. Well, one, I never knew. So it was always just go set appointments with realtors. Like, I thought it was a win on my tracker that I had to turn into my coach if I got the face-to-face with the realtor.
Yeah.
Again, I'm no disrespect, and I agree with Dave. Yes, it is a numbers game and a skills game. When I say it's a numbers game, the coach is out there going, just call more people. That's what I mean. It's not just a numbers game. Like, just calling more people is not going to solve the problem. It's going to create more work. It's going to create more follow-up. It's going to create more chaos. What if you could call less people and have better results? And so that's where it being a skills game. Yes, numbers.
Or what if you had an undeniable value proposition that every time you talk to somebody, they were like, yes, I want to meet with you. And if you don't mind, Dan, I'd love to have kind of that phone call real quick. Do we have Cody on here?
We got Cody on here too. Yeah, let's do this to create a little bit of
here's what I'd like to do. And I'm going to turn off my camera right now because we're going to do a role play. And how many of you guys would love to hear a role play with Cody, who's actually Cody, you're newer to the business, right?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Yeah, I've been a full-time licensed LO since about June of 2020.
Okay, I love it. And I'm going to have Cody do a role play. He went through our 90-day burn program that we had. And man, he sounds great. He sounds better than I do at this point, which is fantastic. But I want you to listen to what Cody's saying. And before your guys' eyes roll and go in like, wait a minute, but how? Because there's going to be a lot of skepticism when you hear Cody talking. And Cody, so I want to ask you a question before we get started. Number one, do you believe in the value that you're selling when you call?
I do now.
Do you have a way to back up everything that you're saying? And is anything that you're saying any way, shape, or form misleading or setting the wrong expectation?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Now I want all of you guys who are on this call right now to just tell me real quick, or I'm sorry, tell me afterwards, if you could make a phone call like this to all of the agents in your marketplace, how would it change your business? How would it change your production? How would it change the relationships that you have? And wouldn't it be the most badass sales call you've ever made? Okay. So real quick, Cody, I want you to ring me up, and I'm a real estate agent. Give me a call, please.
Sounds good. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Chad, this is Cody Villanueva. You're the realtor at the Keller Williams in Pomona, right?
I am. Who's this?
My name is Cody. Chad, I was giving you a call. Are you in a position to take on more business right now?
Yeah, I am. Of course, I'm in a position to take on more business, but what are you calling for exactly?
Chad, I'm a local lender in the area, and I have a unique ability to generate business in our marketplace, and I'm just looking for an agent that can actually get
Cody,
out there.
let me just stop you right there, real quick. I've got a lender that I work with. His name is Dave Savage. He's a killer in the industry, and so I'm really not looking for any new lender relationships right now. I think I'm all set with a lender, if that's what you're calling about.
Chad, I'm not surprised, man. Most good agents have a really good lender. And right now, I'm not looking to take anything away from your current relationship. What I'm looking to do is I have a business that I'm generating, and I'm just looking for a great agent that can actually get out there and convert it. If I were to send you a listing right now, would you be able to convert that, Chad?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, I'm a good agent. If you give me any type of lead or anything like that, yes, I can go out there and convert it. But I guess I don't understand. Like, are you looking to send me business? Or are you selling leads? I guess I'm failing to understand exactly what you're calling about. Exactly.
Yeah, Chad. So I'm not selling anything. Like I said, I have a business that I'm generating and I'm looking for agents that can get out there and convert it. My only expectation here, Chad, is let's say I send you a listing and it turns into a buyer and they need help with financing. Would you have any problem sending them to me for the loan since I sent them to you originally?
No, if you referred me a deal and they turned into a buyer, of course I'd reciprocate that.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like we have a mutual understanding on doing some business together. Let's do this. We'll get together. I'll go over exactly what I'm talking about. We'll see if we're a good fit for each other and we'll make some decisions from there. I've got time tomorrow. Does 11 a.m. or 12 p.m. work better for you?
So real quick, the one thing that I can't let slide, and like I critique, and that's what I do, is Cody, never tell them that there's an expectation. You don't need an expectation. You just need to create the scenario, right? So I guess I
Right.
don't get what's happening here. Cody, I have the unique ability in a market like this to generate business. And if I actually referred you some business, they turned into a buyer, you would have no problem sending that business right back to me, correct? Great. And that's it, right? And then
Perfect.
you move on to the close. But when you start talking about expectations and stuff like that, it doesn't really matter. Now, crazy call, everybody who's on this call or listening, right? Because what is Cody doing? Is Cody like begging for business at all? Can you guys give me a thumbs up in the chat group if Cody's if you felt like any part of Cody was begging for business?
No.
Not at all, right? And so the question becomes for everybody who's probably listening is, well, what is that exactly? Okay. And how is Cody going to go out there and deliver? And so my philosophy is really simple, guys, is you've got to lead with value. You know what I mean? And you've got to sell instead of talking about relationships and working with people. And I guess what I would call things that are normal, like if you think about the value you have, typically it's like a service with your clients, right? Or it's turnaround time, or it's something that's basic that everybody has that nobody cares about but you. You know what I mean? And so you've got to come up with your own undeniable value proposition. And even if something that you use now and gets you a small rate of return or even a big rate of return, that's what you're selling to agents is the end result, right? And that's what you're leading, the benefit of the end result. So Cody's value proposition is really strong. He knows how to generate business. And he's going to offer that to him. Hey, are you in a position to take on new clients right now? Are you in a position to take on new business right now? I want you guys to think of why he's asking that question right out of the gate, okay? Because Cody's not talking about how great he is. Cody's leading with something that he knows that's important to the agent right out of the gate, with something that's actually going to take their attention. If 2023 taught us anything, it's that loan officers and agents alike are struggling with business right now, right? And the value of actually calling with some support for that is just undeniable, at least enough to get you to listen. And you're going to get your average objections. You're going to get, I already have a lender. Great. Don't care about that. Cody, do you care if they have a lender or not?
No, I'm not interested in their lender relationship. I'm sending them some business and that's all I care about.
On the phone, right? And the opportunity and the phone calls, what you're doing is you're creating opportunity. You know what I mean? You're not making a sales phone call. You're not going to develop a 10-year relationship in a 2-minute phone call. It's just not possible, right? So Cody's objective is to create an opportunity for himself. Now, the one thing that Cody knows and what gives him a lot of power is that he knows that he's going into the meeting with something tangible that these people are going to be like, yes, I want to work with you. Right? Because the goal isn't to just get a referral partner, Cody. And if the goal isn't to get a referral partner, what's the goal?
We're creating opportunities. We're getting these meetings. We're getting in front of realtors. We're bringing value to them. I see a lot of people in the chat too that are skeptical about this. And I remember feeling the same way before. I haven't shared this with Cooley or Dan yet, but by the end of April, I'll be at about 47% of the production I did last year, just in these first 4 months. And I think this has a lot to do with it.
So the skepticism is something that I addressed before we made this call, right? Because how great would it be for you if honestly you knew how to make this phone call, you could execute this phone call, and you could follow through,